I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey, people. What's up, you guys? Thank you so much for joining us for this season finale, episode 7 and 8 of Killing Eve. Woo-hoo. All right. Well, of course, I couldn't do it without my partner in crime. Give it up for Mia Brabham.
Hello. We really are partners in crime. You and me.
Yay.
You and me. I love to see it.
All right. So let's kind of... I'm sorry, you guys. I'm trying to...
Live chat?
Yes,
do
on
the
the
same
live
thing.
chat. My bad, people. So please. All right, you guys. So, Chica, what did you think overall about how they wound up the season in these last 2 episodes?
I feel like I have so many thoughts. I don't even know where to begin. It's just... It was a ride. At first, I was waiting in the second to last episode. I was like, oh, this is like kind of moving slow. It was crawling along. Then I think it got hyped up and I was in and I really wanted answers. That's what I was waiting for. So I feel like we didn't fully get answers, but we got, a pretty good understanding. So the whole time I was just thinking, I'm so excited to hear what Erica has to think because she'll have like the little threaded connection. So I'm excited to talk about it. What about you?
I am excited. I don't know if I have any special threaded connections here because I don't know. It wasn't as surprising as I expected, or I don't know. I mean, I liked the fact that, clearly they left us open for new beginnings and, who's to say what'll happen next season, et cetera, et cetera. So that was an interesting way, sort of different, I think, than they've left it in the past, but an interesting choice nonetheless. Shout out to the people in the chat. Yes. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining us, and certainly jump in at any moment with your positions and what you all thought of these overall of these last 2 episodes as well. So let's start it off, I guess, with obviously episode 7. And we see Villanelle with her supervisor again. Kind of an interesting sort of, I don't know if it was a write-up exactly with your supervisor, but an interesting sort of meeting between her and her employer. What were your thoughts?
First of all, I think they said her name a little later on, but I was like, do we still not know this lady's name? Or did we figure it out?
It's like Ellen or Elaine or
it's Helen.
Helen, one of those 2, yeah.
They did say that, but up until then, we found out later, but like by this scene, I was like, do we even know who this chick is? But again, I said this in prior episodes, but I just love seeing her on screen. I think her character is very powerful, and so is the actress who plays her. But yeah, it was just interesting to see like how creepy she got, because before I feel like she's kept it pretty like professional and like straight up, but to see her like hugging Villanelle, I was just like getting the chills. I was like, ooh. But yeah, I wish we would have seen her again. I wish she would have showed up again before the end of the season, but we'll take what we can get. What about you?
Exactly. I agree. I also thought that Helen was really creepy. Like the whole time I was like, oh my God, she's gonna like slap Villanelle's neck or something. Because the way she was holding her was like really weird. And I was like, that's a little close and personal. I was like, woo, I was like, it's gonna happen any moment, just a quick flip to the right and it's a wrap. And so definitely when she told Villanelle, like, I would clearly kill you before you killed me, I definitely believed that. Because I was like, okay, she kind of like Carolyn is like, they're in charge for a reason, because they'll go where some of these newer people, can't go or haven't gone or don't even understand the need to do. So I definitely enjoyed that. What do you think about the new fledgling Villanelle wannabe?
Oh my gosh. That was an interesting introduction, because I feel like this show does that every once in a while, where we see if a killer's going to last, and they never do. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but I'm thinking of the last woman who came along, the one who was super smooth with her kills, so they always knew it was never Villanelle. When they put her in the box, remember, and they were questioning her. Was that this season? Now I'm like, oh my God, they're all blending together. But they introduce these killers and we see them for like a brief amount of time. And so it is interesting to see all the different types, because clearly this show is all about with Villanelle, who's so like flamboyant and humorous and like fun loving, even though she's a literal killer. To see all these killers and their different personalities is interesting. And we'll get to it, I guess, with the whole not the subway. It is in London, the tube at Bank Station. I was there early February, so I was like, what's up, Bank Station? But it was interesting too, to like even them next to each other, like cinematically, like Villanelle and like her dance like tuxedo with like all the colors and the girl in all black. I just thought it was, it's interesting just to see all these like different killers and their personalities, which I never thought that sentence would ever come out of my mouth.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It was interesting because, over the different seasons, I think they had the woman who used to pretend to be like a maid or something, and she would murder the people and they would never know and all that. So it is interesting. And to see that Villanelle actually is taking after Dasha, and kind of being sort of dramatic and flamboyant, and, her murders or her kills kind of theoretically tell a story of some sort and all of that. So that part, I think, was really interesting. And then, on the side with Carolyn, we get to see sort of these last couple of episodes, we sort of see Carolyn start to unravel. Mm-hmm. And what are your thoughts of Carolyn when she first is, like, for example, when she's meeting, I believe this is episode 7, like now I just saw them back there. So
let's blend them together.
Right, I know, right? So what are your thoughts about how Carolyn's character has handled these last couple of episodes?
She might be my personal favorite on the show. I would argue that she's the most complex. And she does, it's like she does exactly what you think. She reacts exactly how you think she'll react, but at the same time, she doesn't. And she's always surprising. And I love watching her and her character. It really just seems like she makes these decisions in an instant. And I don't know, the scene when she's like throwing things with her daughter and she's like, you need an outlet. And she just like puts on this show. I was like, that's just classic Carolyn. I'm like, did you actually feel these things? Like she's constantly acting. And I'm just like, we see like Eve and Villanelle, we talk about like sociopaths and psychopaths and like, are they mirroring emotion? And it's so funny because you don't typically put Carolyn in that box, but she's kind of in that box. I realized like, we're constantly like, are you putting on a show with these emotions? Are you actually feeling anything on the inside, or are you really distancing yourself from it? Is this a tough facade? Like, are you throwing things because you're actually upset in this moment and you're getting it out for like a split second? Or are you just doing that to please your daughter and make a statement? Like, you just really don't know ever what she's thinking. And I like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I really liked this scene, even before we get to the one with her daughter, when she's meeting with, is his name Mayo? Let me know if I'm incorrect. And he's like, no, I couldn't find anything. And, and she's just like, no, this line is horrible. Clearly he knew you were following him. That was such a cool scene because it was like, she just kind of cut to the chase and she's sitting back out there. And then in comes Eve, and she's like, "Okay, no, you're not." You know what I'm saying? So it was interesting to see her dynamic. One kind of, with her subordinate, then even with Eve, because it's like Eve expected, I think, her to be so much more emotional about kind of what we're doing, why we're doing this, and and at that moment in that particular scene. Carolyn didn't quite give it up to her, I don't think.
Yes, I agree.
So what do you think about Irenia in the crazy house or the detention center after she has murdered her stepfather?
Was anyone else shook? Because maybe, and correct me if I'm missing details here, sometimes things move fast, but it ended last time, because we weren't here Memorial Day with you guys, so we're here with 2 episodes this week. But I think it last ended with her running over the boyfriend of her mother.
Right.
And so we don't know that she got arrested. So when I saw that she was in like the Looney Bin in prison, like I was just like, whoa, she actually like got caught. Who put her there? I just had all these questions immediately because like we're so used to seeing all these people getting away with, and no repercussions for their actions and for these murders. And they're all just running around. No one's getting caught. No one seems to care. But somehow she ends up like this youth is literally the one who's like caught for it or condemned for it. So I just thought that was just like interesting. For, I guess, like, I don't know, I can't think of a particular reason, but I just thought that was kind of a cool, not a cool thing to see, but just an interesting thing to see.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah, no, I do agree because it was kind of, it was a quick jump. So they never really showed us sort of how they were going to handle that because, I mean, theoretically, they were supposed to go on the run that night. So really, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He couldn't scoop in and save her necessarily because he's halfway in hiding and trying to get away.
Yeah.
What did you feel about the kind of the discussions that the doctor was having about sort of basically almost calling her a psychopath?
I don't know if I really had any particular feelings about it. I just was like, But then I also feel like it kind of, I don't know. I guess I didn't really formulate feelings around it. What do you think?
It was just interesting because the doctor was kind of, I think, trying to portray to him like, she has a really deep mental issue. And he's just sort of like, ha ha.
Yeah. Like
laughing it off. And like, yeah, I know, but she's murdered someone and she's not leaving.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting. And then also, when she, I think she kind of didn't really take it seriously and kind of thought she was going to be able to go,
Yeah.
So I kind of thought that was sort of an interesting take on whether she was going to still, just kind of how she thought, I think she was surprised herself that she was actually going to have to, be stuck there or pay some sort of penalty or whatever.
Yeah.
For her crimes. All right, you guys. Anybody in the chat, please feel free to comment. Hi, ER's grandpa.
Hello, every week. We love ER's grandpa.
We do. All right, so let's move on to Villanelle and her, she decides she's going to do, she asked for one more job from Helen. And so this is her opportunity. And we see her in this bright green, frou-frou suit. And this is when we see her going after Dasha. What are your thoughts about her finally, taking the chance?
Well, first of all, that whole time I was like, they definitely hate each other. Like they just give that energy. I feel like maybe like all the seasons, all the episodes are starting to blend together. But right. I feel like in the beginning, there was really this sense of like mom, like a figurehead in Dasha. And like, she really looked up to her in ways and this respect for her, but that's completely crumbled by this episode and by the end of the season. And I feel like it's so evident, like when they were in the elevator, I was just like, they hate each other, right? Like it's pretty clear that like their whole relationship is just falling apart. So that definitely, that was interesting, for sure. What do you think?
No, I thought, well, it's a difference because I kind of feel like they have sort of a love-hate thing going on. You know what I'm saying? Definitely, I don't think Villanelle quite has the, I don't think it's quite like mother-daughter. Mm-hmm. But I do feel like, she has she had some sort of allegiance to her. You know what I'm saying? I do feel like there was some sort of something there. But definitely by the time they get into the elevator, Dasha's like, I just want to be free. So for sure, I feel like that was a crazy, kind of an interesting scene to see their sort of last few moments together and how Villanelle reacts to the fact that she has the son and that she has something outside of this. So, that she's trying to go home to. How did you what did you think about that?
It made me think if Well, I was thinking if she thought back to her mom in that moment, because that's still a plot point that we thought we'd come back to, like with her two brothers running around knowing that she's a killer, not doing anything. Maybe they're smart to stay away, but or maybe they'll save it for season 4. But I think it's just interesting to see how all these relationships come into play, because really Villanelle, as far as like who we've seen with like Dasha and like Konstantin, who have families, and like Carolyn too, like Villanelle doesn't have any of that. So I feel like she's so shocked when someone else has someone to like go back to or someone to care about. And it makes her think more about like, should I have someone to care about? And I think that's why she went back to her family too. I think she's just kind of looking for something to hunker her down. I think that even gave her more like of a, not jealousy, but like she wants that for herself. And I mean, it's shocking. Like, you know this woman for how long? So.
Very true. Very true. So let's talk a little bit about Konstantin. So, first we see him with his daughter, then we see him with Villanelle. And it's basically these last 2 episodes, he's kind of trying to just, get out, get to Cuba, so to speak. And, so we see the scene first with his daughter, where he's like, okay, clearly you messed this up. And she calls him a liar. And kind of, he tells her the same thing he told Villanelle, like, I'm going to come back for you. Yep. So do you think that he will, or do you think that he's a liar? As she and Villanelle both don't believe him when he says he's coming back.
That's a really good question. I love a show that makes me think. I'm like, did he mean it? I just really don't know with him. If I'm going to be completely honest, like, if I had to guess, he means it in a way that he's not going to save her. He'll come back to visit her. I think he really loves his daughter, because even this whole time he's been in hiding, he found a way to find her out and find where she was and all that stuff when he's supposed to be dead. But I think I can't tell with him going to get like the Russian dolls and all that stuff. I can't tell if he actually, when he's like, I need to bring it to my daughter, I need it for my daughter, I don't know if he means that. I really just I don't know. And even, I'm getting too far ahead with the ending scene, but like, even then I'm like, did he do it or not? Like, did he kill Kenny or not? Like, you just don't know with him. So many times I thought he's been on the good side, the bad side. I don't know what this man is thinking. What do you think?
I agree. I think it's a tough one, because I feel like he got, like, now that he has the money, I guess hopefully, maybe we'll see it in the upcoming season or whatever. But it's like, I think if he could get her out with no risk to himself, then he would do it. But if something comes up, if he, if it's easier for him to flee to save himself, I feel like he would clearly save himself before he would sacrifice for her. Although it's a tough one though, because I feel like she is the only thing in the world right now that he, I think he's attached to Villanelle, but I think he does have this deeper attachment for his daughter.
Yeah, you're so right. And when he said to Villanelle when he was having the heart attack, he said, I don't want to die. Was not expecting that. So you're right. He might throw somebody else under the bus before he's ready to kick it. So.
Yeah, now I agree. Do you think that when he was with Villanelle and, they're walking down the platform and he first has the heart attack, do you think that was an actual heart attack, or do you think that he was
faking it?
No, not faking it. Because remember, he got brushed, someone bumped him or whatever. And when he said a prick, I thought he was poisoned, is what I thought at first, actually. I'm just saying, because he was like, oh, you feel a prick or something, and then, but maybe he just is eating. Yeah,
maybe it actually felt. Maybe it actually felt like a prick. It wasn't a brush by.
I was like, oh my gosh, they poisoned him. But,
I would not put it. You've been right many times before. I wouldn't put it by.
No. I mean, that's just what I thought initially. I was like, man, they found some way to get him.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Okay, sorry, you guys in the chat. I guess they were like chatting, but it wasn't coming through. So thank you guys so much. Let's see what people are saying here. Um, oh, okay. So Taylor says he believes Dasha and Villanelle had a mentor-mentee relationship, which I think is actually pretty accurate as
Yeah,
well.
that's true.
I think Villanelle was done killing once she killed her mom. Maybe it was the kill she needed to get done for her to try to change her way of living.
I'm leaving. Y'all can host this show. This is amazing. These are amazing insights.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting one because she has been broken ever since she killed her mom. She has like totally been off her square for the most part because even the kill of Dasha was like nowhere near, like she wasn't dead.
Remotely. And she knew she wasn't dead. Villanelle would have never done that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So that was the thing where it was like, okay, wait, what? You know, she wasn't any close to being dead.
Wow.
And you know, so it does seem like ever since that kill of her mother, she has sort of totally been off her square and having issues kind of keeping it together. And she kind of seems to have, do you feel like she's starting to change who she is?
Yeah. Wow.
I
might actually believe her this time. But that's literally put me in the wrong every other time. I thought she was going to be different. But that's the good thing about this show is it keeps you on your toes.
Very true. So, okay, our last little thing on Dasha, our last couple of things. So when Dasha's on the ground, we know, kind of talking a little bit about what Eve is going through in these past couple of episodes. So Eve comes and she steps on Dasha's chest. What do you think?
I said, oh my gosh. I said, I forgot this woman was a killer. She killed the person at the end of last season. Like, I forget, even though it wasn't like she's like vindictive or like malicious in everything she's doing in her killings. Like, she has literally, Villanelle let her like club that man to death or whatever she did. I can't remember. But she's killed someone. So I remember I was like, she'll do it again. And I was shocked at first, then I was like, no, she's done this. So it just reminded me of that. And I didn't expect Eve to find out this way. Everyone was saying they were going to, with the handwriting stuff, which I guess kind of played into it. But Eve, I didn't expect her to know this way or find out when she did, even though I guess she kind of already knew. But for her to like say it about Niko and then to like crush it, I was like, wow, that really just nailed it in.
I agree. Although, I mean, obviously she went to the hospital and, the sirens came. So I'm like, she wasn't really on her, you know what I'm saying? She didn't, like Villanelle, she too didn't have that much follow through. So I was like,
People keep coming back from the dead on this show. It really makes me think, are they just strong or are these people messy? Can they not finish the job?
Exactly. That's what I kind of thought because I was like, okay, she was still talking when Eve was there. So I wasn't that surprised when I saw her in the hospital. Because I was like, okay, they didn't really, but I did think it was very funny that she was in the hospital bed right next to Konstantin. So that was like, I thought was a very light sort of comical moment. Kind of, lifted our spirits and kind of gets you laughing with a chuckle as, as we approach the climactic endings.
He had a real look of fear in his eye when he realized she was over there on the other side of the curtain. Konstantin, he looked, I don't know if anybody caught that. He looked genuinely scared of why, I don't know. Maybe it was just him being shocked, but when he realized it was her, it really looked like he was like scared of her for a minute. But
here's what I thought when I saw that as well. I thought he was scared because she probably, or I think he's worried that she knows he's trying to get out of the 12, right? And so I definitely thought that he was like, as long as I stay here, she'll tell them where I am. Either she'll kill me or they'll kill me. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll know where he is. And going down that line, I kind of thought he might have pushed Dasha into her death. What are your thoughts?
You mean when she flatlined?
Yeah, because he was like, you're going to die in this bed. And I was like, how did she just die like that? Like, right?
I don't know if he actually knew she was like on the deep end. But this whole show, I'm just like, sometimes I'm like, this is confusing. What's going on? Because the way he got up close and she opened her eyes and had that much will 2 minutes before she died, I'm like, okay, really? But I don't know. I guess he did kind of will it on her. But yeah, I was confused why she flatlined a little because I was like, it's not like you had a heart attack. It was like a club to your head. So maybe it was like your system shutting down. But I just thought that whole scene was like dramatic.
Yeah, there's something about that scene. I actually thought Konstantin, maybe I'm too into poison or something, but I was like, I thought Konstantin did something to her IV, her oxygen or something. Because I was like, I pretty much, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if they're both there, you know what I mean? Like either if she goes back and tells the people that he's, you know what I mean? She could kill him or have him get killed. So I definitely felt like whoever got out, the other person wouldn't. So, you know, but interesting.
That's a show.
Oh, ER Grandpa said it was a 2-minute warning, Mia.
He knew. He saw the clock.
He's like, you're gonna die right here. And I was like, oh shit, excuse me. Oh no, he's gonna kill her. And then I was like, okay, all right, you know, you get what you come for. Okay, so all right, one more scene with Konstantin and Carolyn's daughter. What do you think about that scene with the surprise steak and stuff?
The notes. First of all, I don't even like steak, and now I want some. I was like, I would love a delicious dinner. Not with a killer though. So never mind. Scratch. I said any of that. But it was so weird because I feel like we both talked about wanting to see them in a scene together because I think we've only gotten a few tastes of it, right? We knew it was going on, but like we haven't got to see them. This was probably like their longest scene together. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it was interesting to see them. But then I was just like immediately grossed out. Like, like the two of them. She's so innocent. I was like, unless she's not, but she's just been so sweet in all this and like fighting for the good and like, and then to be with Konstantin, like, how do you not see this? She's so naive. And then even when she was walking out and she was like, my mom warned me about you. And she started listing things like, I should have known when you did this, and this. I was like, exactly. Like, how do you still not know? Because even when he then came out and was like, she was like, I almost fell for it. And then he said it. I feel like she still wasn't fully convinced maybe until later on in the conversation. And then when she was like, you can go die too. And then I was like, ooh, that was like a clever foreshadow we didn't see. He didn't actually die. But when the heart attack happened, I was like, oh my gosh. It was like a train reaction. Like I was like, did she make him die? And then he made Dasha die. This is like all my thoughts disconnected. But I mean, yeah, I'm just like, how did she not see what he was doing this whole time? And I couldn't believe he was honest with her either when he was kind of like, I don't remember what he said, but he was like, essentially gave away his real intentions.
Yeah, because at the end, he was just kind of like, yeah, you know, I bugged your place and all this. And it was an interesting kind of interlude. And kind of, I don't know if this was just funny or part of like their sort of the show humor, but I thought it was interesting that she brought him steak, but then Carolyn was like, oh yeah, you're a vegetarian, right? So it's like she's still so is she being fake with Carolyn or, you know, eating steak with her man? So I definitely thought that whole dynamic between them was really borderline funny. You know what I'm saying? And kind of a little bit comical, but it was interesting that she got hysterical. You know, she storms out, she leaves, she goes home to Carolyn to kind of, you know, make amends and writes out this long note to kind of, you know, now that she's been played. And and Carolyn is like, I want you to leave. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts finally about how we kind of end the season with the mother-daughter dynamic of those two?
I don't know. It makes me thinking to the future. I'm like, I wonder if they'll come back around, if they won't. It didn't seem very permanent to me. It just seemed like a blow up. But yeah, it is interesting how the show explores these mother-daughter dynamics. And I also was just thinking in this scene, this is like maybe like too like out there and cerebral, but I'm very appreciative her character was introduced because we were able to see inside the home and inside the mind of Carolyn. And I don't think we would have been able to do that without her character, if that makes sense, coming back or her character being introduced in this season, because we've gotten to see, we've seen so many scenes of Carolyn at home and in a way, clearly not opening up to her daughter, but seeing this side of her away from work that I feel like was very important to her character development. So it's the mother-daughter thing. I'm like, maybe I hope she comes back. I thought it was added just an interesting touch to the show. So
yeah, I agree. And I kind of thought that really Carolyn saying I don't want you here was kind of just her way of sort of protecting her too. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt like, okay, at that point, Carolyn knew everything is coming to a head. You know, May had been murdered. You know what I'm saying? I think she kind of knew, okay, everything's kind of coming in. Like she said, the walls are closing in on her. And I felt like she really did that more for her daughter's protection than necessarily like, I don't want you to be here. That's kind of one of the thoughts I had about it as well, you know?
Do you know what I just realized too? Are we just never going to go back to the scene in the car when he was like, when Konstantin was like, he asked me if I was his father. Was that supposed to just be a mic drop that we never came back to?
Well, no, I mean, I think that's the point because everybody in the chat is there already.
Okay.
So they're talking about,
y'all are ahead of us.
Like, whatever y'all talking about, we talking about the end, girl. So, okay. so actually, since you bring that up, I think that is the only way that she was able to really not kill Konstantin, honestly, because I think at the end of the day, the whole idea is when they bring Carolyn in and she watches the video, that's the thing. She's looking at it when she goes into the newspaper and she's looking at the video of the tape. It's like, okay, did Konstantin murder his son? That's the question. You know what I'm saying? And did he kill his son at the time? So that's why I think that's where he went to say, I would never kill somebody that I loved. Or he might have been going to say, I wouldn't kill my son. That's what she would be alleging. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the only reason why she didn't kill him, I think. Because even in that moment, and the people in the chat have brought this up, Konstantin would say anything not to get shot.
Yeah.
So it's easily, and furthermore, honestly, what I thought he was going to say too as well was that Villanelle did it. Because Villanelle said point blank, he only, he doesn't kill anyone. He has somebody else do it. So that's the question. Was there somebody else on
Villanelle?
Right, exactly. And then
he kept yelling Villanelle
that he called right before he thought he was going to be shot. And I kind of think it could also be because she helped him kill Kenny.
I think she did.
Oh yeah, then someone else says, I personally thought she wanted her to leave for her safety. Yeah, that's what I thought too, for her own good.
Okay.
And then someone else says, yes, I think he is the daddy. I think he is the daddy too, and that's why Carolyn didn't kill him. That's for sure, because I think Carolyn knows when he's lying too.
Yeah.
Or she has some sort of idea. And I think at that moment, she wasn't sure, you know what I'm saying? Because I think at that moment, like Villanelle had been for these past couple episodes, she was sort of thrown off her game. You know what I'm saying? Because I think once she saw Konstantin, you know, she kind of spun a little bit out of control.
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of an interesting scene to see Konstantin sort of pleading for his life and explaining what happened. And then one of the people brought up the fact, let's see. So Peter Parker 3000 brings up the fact that Kenny was not screaming on the way down. Definitely hints at the fact that someone killed him. You know what I'm saying? That was this part. He said, plus Konstantin has something to do with it. So
wait, can we go back? He was not screaming on the way down.
Yes.
So it was a murder?
That's what Peter.
But wouldn't he be screaming if it was a murder, or maybe not? Like if someone pushed you off, if it was an accident. I don't know. It's an interesting thought though.
Yeah, you know, it is an interesting thought because it kind of depends on whether or not he was dead before he went off the roof.
Yeah, we don't know.
So we finally have this final scene. You know, so Konstantin is spared for another season. So yay.
Konstantin.
And Carolyn makes a suggestion to Eve that maybe she should, you know, give it up cold turkey. And then we see this final scene between Eve and Villanelle. What were your thoughts about that last scene between them?
Gosh, I mean, I think everybody was like, all the Killing Eve fans were going wild. We're like, wow. All I kept thinking was, like, wow, we're about to have a season end where they both don't kill each other. It's like their final scene, like we have each season, but they're finally gonna just walk away, but they can't walk away from each other. So I think it was very symbolic and metaphorical and beautiful. And I feel like they're both in this place where like their feelings for each other have become clear and apparent, but they know they don't maybe necessarily want the same things right now. But I think, I mean, should I just say my prediction now? I think everything, it's like Carolyn said it too, like the walls are closing in. These MI6, like the 12, like they're all closing in and coming together. And I think they're going to all end up working together next season. So it's not the last of them all, or I guess of Eve and Villanelle seeing each other. I loved how many scenes they had together in this last episode. It was like really cool to see just the dancing scene, everything. Like, I just love seeing them on screen more together. So, yeah, I thought it was beautiful. And I definitely think they were going to keep walking away. I knew they were going to turn around. I was just waiting. So, yeah.
And I totally agree. I thought that was an interesting ending, but kind of one where, just leaves you wanting more for next season. But they also, I guess they when you renewed, you can just leave it open like that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're coming back. So exactly, like, see you later. So it was interesting because now that Villanelle wants to change and be different and is ready to change, it's interesting to see that even though she's changing, she might still not, be with Eve. And as Carolyn mentioned to Eve, they only get the girl like in Hollywood.
Oh my gosh, can I interrupt with news and gossip if that's okay? Because it ties perfectly from your point, unless you wanted to end on a different note. But news and gossip literally leads perfectly.
No, that's cool. Go through. Do
all right.
News and gossip.
News and gossip. All right. So I was very excited for this one. This is from Mirror. And so, yeah, this is a Mirror article. A new fan theory has emerged for Killing Eve season 4 surrounding Batwoman actress Ruby Rose. The Orange is the New Black alum, 34, shocked her fans when she announced her departure from the role as DC Comics lesbian superhero Kate Kane from the CW series Batwoman. However, now a fan theory for Killing Eve suggests she quit the role as a heroine to play the role of Villanelle's former lover, Laura/Charlie from the novels on which the BBC spy drama is based. So we may have a love interest coming next season who's different. Will it be related to the wedding that we don't know anything about from episode 1? No, probably not. But I personally love Ruby Rose and would be excited to see her on this show.
Too, as well. So that's exciting. All right, you guys, before we get out of here, let's do our final Women Who Kill special segment. I'll make this one quick because it's time to hit the road, you guys. It's time to get out of here. But this week, our special segment is about Esperanza Gutierrez Rojano, 33. And basically, she's an assassin that opened fire in a busy Mexico City restaurant where she was killed Ben Southi, a Tel Aviv native and well-known crime boss, and his bodyguard, Alan Azule. And basically, unlike Villanelle and many of our characters, she was, I'm going to say unfortunately, I guess it was fortunate. She was caught immediately.
The show has us messed up.
Exactly. And she was taken to jail. And originally she said that she murdered him because she was jealous. He was cheating on her or whatever. But it turns out that she was actually a hired killer. And because he was, this big time, Israeli crime boss or whatever. So it was, so that is our special. We're going to end it with, a criminal that didn't get out. But so any last predictions for the season, upcoming next season?
Well, I might have to go with the fan theories. I think we'll get a new love interest because clearly they're going a different way. Maybe they'll have like a spark or two next season, but I think Eve and Villanelle are going to be on the same team. They're all going to start working together in a certain way. And we're going to find out more specific details that weren't actually nailed down this season. as far as like Konstantin being the dad, Kenny's death, we still don't actually know. So I think those will get nailed down. They better. We can't. We found out it's been a whole season. We need to know. So I want to know concrete next season. I think that will happen. And then we'll get this love interest. So yeah.
Yes, I agree. And okay, you guys in the chat, thank you guys. You guys are so funny and so cool and the best.
Love you guys.
Nina Murphy says, does Eve ultimately want to explore her inner killer? And ER's grandpa says, well, I guess in reference to the woman at the restaurant, a woman's got to eat, and I agree. For me, I think we're always going to have that tension between Villanelle and Eve. It'd be interesting to see a little bit more of Eve's darker side, and I hope we find out a little bit about Eve's past, like where she's from. We found out how Villanelle ended up how she is. It'd be interesting to see how Eve ends up who she has become after all of this.
They're gonna
you guys
each other on the spectrum.
Exactly.
Wow.
So it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully they both get, at least get laid next season, That's my hope for them both.
Would be mad about it.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much. Tailored, Nina Murphy, ER's grandpa, Renji, Peter Parker 3000, and all of you all that are in the chat that didn't get a chance to type in. Certainly chime in your thoughts after our live episode. But thank you guys so much for joining us and making us the ESPN of TV talk, because we couldn't do it here in these crazy times at AfterBuzz without all of you tuning in to watch us. So Mia, as we send out our finale here, where can everybody find you, and what shows are you on next, and all that?
Yes, of course. Thank you guys so much. We have such a loyal fan base. So I really want to thank each of you. We remember your names. We remember everything you say in the chat. So thank you. Can't wait to talk to you next season. Again, I'm Mia Brabham. You can find me on Instagram at yours truly Mia, on Twitter at Hot Mess Mia. We didn't make a statement on this, but with everything going on, Black Lives Matter, speak up, use your platform, raise awareness, educate yourselves, and be safe. Love you guys. Thank you so much. What about you?
All right. Thank you guys again. Love you all. You all have been so patient and dedicated and tuning in to watch us here on AfterBuzz. And yes, be safe, in the pandemic, protests, all this crazy times. Be safe. Try to find love and laughter and light. And you can catch me later this evening on Worst Chefs of America if you like bad cooking. And eventually, I think maybe on Housewives of Potomac or something down the line. But you can follow me at any rate on all of my social media at Erica, ERIKA, as in door, Edwards. So ciao for now, folks.
Bye.
Bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.